This is our third session revising English language IGCSE, and today we're going to look at Between a Rock and a Hard Place. We're just going to look at one paragraph from it. So get your anthologies and find this paragraph, and it's from the moment where he actually gets his arms stuck between the rocks. So look at the bottom of the page and find this paragraph, and we're just going to look at how you can really analyze a really short paragraph really closely in order to impress the examiner. Let's read it through first. The next 3 seconds play out at a tenth of their normal speed. Time dilates as if I'm dreaming, and my reactions decelerate. In slow motion, the rock smashes my left hand against the south wall. My eyes register the collision, and I yank my left arm back as the rock ricochets. The boulder then crushes my right hand and ensnares my right arm at the wrist, palm in, thumb up, fingers extended. The rock slides another foot down the wall with my arm in tow, tearing the skin off the lateral side of my forearm. Then silence. And I've picked out 5 things that you could say about this paragraph. So the first thing is that he focuses on the idea of time slowing down, and that really emphasizes the intensity of the experience. So the focus is on every emotion or sensory experience of that time. He says the next 3 seconds is how he starts that paragraph, isn't it? So he's really zooming in on that particular moment and describing it in the most intricate detail. People talk about this, don't they? If something really extreme happens, maybe something traumatic, something really shocking, it's like as if time slows down, because it's like as if they're focusing on every minute detail of what their body or their mind was going through at that moment. And so that's what he's doing here. He uses the present tense. So if you look at it, it dilates and smashes and yank and crushes and ensnares. It's all in the present tense, isn't it? And that creates a sense of immediacy. So we've said this with some of the other texts, haven't we, that it makes it feel as if you're there, experiencing it with him. Whereas if it was in the past tense, you wouldn't have that sense of being there in the moment at that time. Whereas he really creates that sense of you experiencing it with him as it happens. There's also the third point is that there's a focus on the body. So if you look at this paragraph, look at the bits I've highlighted in green, and just pick those out. So just pick out hand, eyes, arm, hand, arm, wrist, palm, thumb, fingers, arm, skin, forearm. It's constantly mentioning body part after body part, isn't it? And so what we could say in terms of using linguistic terminology here is that he's using lots of words from the semantic field of the body. And then think, well, okay, why is he doing that? So part of it could be that he's intensely aware of the physical danger, of the need to survive, and obviously foreshadowing the loss of part of his body later. It's like as if he might live or die here, and so he's focusing very much on his physical body and whether or not he's going to be able to escape from this place or not. He uses some listing, doesn't he? So if you look at the wrist, palm in, thumb up, fingers extended, and there's listing elsewhere in the passage as well. But the list, I think, is to emphasize the shock and the fear. At that point, look at that bit that I've underlined, and snares my right arm at the wrist, palm in, thumb up, fingers extended. That use of the list there emphasizes the idea that he can't take his eyes off his arm. And he's aware of the consequences of that. It's gradually dawning on him, and he realizes in those seconds, it's stuck. What am I going to do? Am I ever going to be able to escape from here? There are some really quite long, complex sentences here, aren't there? So look at the sentence that begins, time dilates. Look how long that sentence is, how many clauses there are in there, how many semicolons. It's a very, very long sentence. Goes, from in slow motion all the way down to the lateral side of my forearm. You've got like a sort of 5-line sentence there, haven't you? And then right straight after that, you've then got a really short minor sentence, haven't you? then silence. It's a minor sentence because it shouldn't really be one because it hasn't even got a verb in it. But the contrast between that really long complex sentence and the really short minor one emphasizes the emotional intensity and then the shock, the realization, doesn't it? But this idea of looking for the longest sentence in a passage and then looking for the shortest sentence in the passage and working out why the writer has used those will always get you some marks. So you could not just look at that when you're looking at the one from the anthology, but you could also look at that, remember, when you're looking at the unseen passage, the text that you get in the exam as well. Find the shortest sentence, find the longest one, and see if you can make a point about why the writer has used a really short or a really long sentence at those moments. If you want to look at Between a Rock and a Hard Place in more detail, then if you go to English Gorillas, you can find another PowerPoint, which is about 7 or 8 minutes long, and it will go through the kind of points that you can make about language and structure if you're looking at this text in the exam.